If you have to put someone on a pedestal, put teachers. They are society's heroes. The duties of a teacher are neither few nor small, but they elevate the mind and give energy to the character. The best teachers are those who show you where to look, but don't tell you what to see. Better than 1,000 days of diligent study is one day with a great teacher. Your heart is slightly bigger than the average human heart, but that's because you're a teacher. Teachers can change lives with just the right mix of chalk and challenges. Teaching is the greatest act of optimism. One child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world. Students, don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. It is not what is poured into a student that counts, but what is planted. Teachers have 3 loves: love of learning, love of learners, and the love of bringing the first 2 loves together. The art of teaching is the art of assisting discovery. Education doesn't just make us smarter, it makes us whole. Teaching kids to count is fine, but teaching them what counts is best. I am indebted to my father for living, but to my teacher for living well. A teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence stops. I like a teacher who gives you something to take home to think about besides homework. I have learned silence from the talkative, toleration from the intolerant, and kindness from the unkind. Yet, strange, I am ungrateful to those teachers. A good teacher can inspire hope, ignite the imagination, and instill a love of learning. A teacher who is attempting to teach without inspiring the pupil with a desire to learn is hammering on cold iron. Good teachers know how to bring out the best in students. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Change is the end result of all true learning. Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. The roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet. The more that you read, the more things you will know. The more that you learn, the more places you'll go. Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever.
Good evening, everybody. Could you please confirm if I am audible? Could you please put a yes in the chat if I am audible?
Yes, you are audible, Sri Lakshmi.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone, again. Thank you all. Thank you all for registering and attending this national level online faculty development program on outcome-based education and application of generative AI in teaching and research, jointly organized by the Internal Quality Assurance Cell IQAZ of University of Engineering and Management, Jaipur, Rajasthan, and the Internal Quality Assurance Cell IQAZ of Nirmala College, Muatupura, Autonomous Kerala, in association with IPSR Solution Limited. We would like to welcome Dr. Mendes Jacob, Professor and Director, MCA, Marian College, Kuttikanam, MD and CEO of IPSR Solution Limited, and all the FDP participants of today. About this FDP, this was 1 week program with a live session from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. and today is the last day of the FDP. Fee for the LMS access and processing of certificate is rupees 400. All the participants who have paid the processing fee will receive the LMS access, the video recording for all the day, and the provision of download your FDP completion certificate. The procedure for receiving the certificate will be informed to you towards the end of the FDP. If any of you are yet to make the payment, please make the payment an amount of rupees 400 to the account details in the chat. If you are unable to attend any of the live session, they will be available in the LMS. We have shared the LMS access details through email to those who have shared the payment proof in WhatsApp till yesterday. Those who have shared the payment proof in WhatsApp today will receive the LMS access detail mail tomorrow. If you have any trouble in attending the WebEx online session, you could join the YouTube live session in the link given in the chat. Hi, I'm Sri Lakshmi from IPSR Solution Limited and I will be the moderator for today's event. Now, moving on to the technical session, the topic will be the attainment calculation and various analytical report, useful ICT tools and OBE for accreditation. Will be delivered by Dr. Mendes Jacob. Dr. Mendes Jacob is an academician and an entrepreneur with 35 years plus year of experience and is the former director of the School of Applicable Mathematics, MG University. He holds a PhD in Operation Research and has to his credit a number of national and international publications and guided PhD students in mathematics and computer science. He is also the CEO of IPSR Solution Limited, an IT company supporting higher education institutions in the implementation of outcome-based education and innovating teaching, learning, and assessment strategies. He is the part of the team which has trained more than 13,000 faculty members on outcome-based education pan-India. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Sri Lakshmi. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are on.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So once again, welcome to this last day's section. Today, we will discuss the attainment calculation of outcome-based education, how to calculate the attainment of outcomes like a course outcomes, then program outcomes, program-specific outcomes, etc. Also, we will discuss about some analytical reports which will be useful for mainly for the accreditation purpose, as well as for our teaching and learning activities. Okay, we will start with the attainment calculation. In between, if you have any clarifications or suggestions or questions, you can put it in the chat box. So we will discuss along with this section. I hope my screen is visible. If it is visible, please yes in the chat box. Okay, thank you. Yeah, this is our agenda for today. So we'll skip some of the introduction slides. Hope we have discussed all these things in the first sections. The traditional versus OB, what is the change in the traditional system? We can see it is teacher-centric, whereas in OB, it's student-centric. And the traditional system, importance on teaching and content, whereas in OB, importance on learning and process. The traditional system, it's a knowledge-driven and rote learning, whereas in OB, learning ensures knowledge and performance. And the paradigm shift, see, as a faculty member, the traditional system, before going to the class, every faculty member will think like this: what should I teach today? In the next section, what should I teach today? And accordingly, we used to prepare the lessons. But in the OB system, this should be our thinking, like what should my students be able to do with what they learned in today's section? So what should my students be able to do with what they learned today? Okay. Now coming to, before going to that slide, sorry, I have a question for you. What is the attention span of a student nowadays, especially after the COVID? Can you guess? How much time a student can listen to the class? What is the attention span of a student? Any guess? Can put in the chat. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, okay. Yeah. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, yeah. 30 seconds, okay. Maybe that is the length of a reel or a 20 minutes, okay. Maximum 20 minutes. So according to the recent research, it's only 8 minutes. So the attention span of a student is only 8 minutes. As faculty members, we are teaching around 1 hour, because usually 1 hour is the length of a section for higher education institutions. Now, I hope all of you have seen this, maybe the internet. So this is a research study, a result of a research study. You can see 90% of learning happens when we teach others, or 75% of learning happens when practice doing something. Then discussions, demonstrations, audiovisual reading, and only 5% learning happens through lecturing. This is again the basis of outcome-based education. In outcome-based education, there is a paradigm shift from teaching to learning. Okay. So as faculty members, we are sure that when we started teaching, we were also learning many things. And in-depth knowledge acquired during that time when we started teaching. Then coming to the 3 pillars of a professional, I hope all of you are faculty members who are attending this session. Can you just suggest what are the good attributes or the qualities of a teacher, or the qualities of a best teacher, a good teacher, or a great teacher? Can you just suggest some attributes? You can put it in the chat. Yeah, motivate the students. Good. Good communication skills. Creativity. Yeah. Creativity, critical thinking, these are actually 21st century skills. Any other skills or any other attributes? Lifelong learning, definitely. All of us may have a role model, as a teacher as a role model, maybe our teachers. You will look at their qualities. Adaptability for technology change, yeah, that's very important. Analytical approach, interaction. Okay. Being a role model, definitely. Willingness to learn from students, that's very important. Okay, now this is the question here on the screen. You can see 3 pillars of a professional engagement with students. Okay, 3 pillars of a professional. Okay, so what all suggestions you have given? Maybe if you have more time, you will get more suggestions will come. So all these we can categorize into 3 broad areas, which is called attitude, skill, and knowledge. attitude, skill, and knowledge. Okay. Some of the attributes comes under attitude, then some other comes under skill, some other comes under knowledge. So these are also the three pillars of a professional. If you are a student to become a good profession, these are the three areas where they have to focus. And the Bloom's taxonomy, you can see there are three domains in Bloom's taxonomy. One is the cognitive domain, then the affective domain, then the psychomotor domain. Okay. You can map these areas, attitude, skill, and knowledge. Attitude you can map with the affective domain. Skill you can map with the psychomotor domain. And knowledge we can map with the cognitive domain. Okay. So while framing questions and all, we are focusing more on the cognitive domain. But the other domains are also important. Maybe in our PUs, the other domains will appear. So as during the section yesterday, Madam Kamal Shah was mentioning about the outcome-based academic research, where she has mentioned about some examples. So through those activities, definitely we can address the affective domain, and in some other cases, the psychomotor domain. Okay. Now, again, during the first section itself, we have gone through the Bloom's taxonomy. And the Bloom's taxonomy is the basis for curriculum design, assessments, and teaching learning activities. Everywhere we should focus on Bloom's taxonomy. Now, coming to our POs, the NBA has formulated 12 attributes for UG engineering program. We can also divide these attributes into 4 areas. The 3 areas are knowledge, attitude, and skill. Then habit means the lifelong learning. Okay. And these are the sample. This is an example of the attainment calculation of the POs. See, for example, at the end of this section, we should be, all the faculty participants, we should be able to at least understand the process of attainment calculation. So attainment calculation means you have to calculate the CO attainment, PSO attainment, and PO attainment. This is an example of a PO attainment of a particular student. It's only an example. You can see there are different graduate attributes given that are the POs. Then out of 3, the values of different the attainment calculated for different graduate attributes or POs. So if you can provide the students a score sheet like this, this will be serving as an authentic profile of a particular student according to the different competencies. Now, we'll start with the attainment calculation. I will explain the process because the process is very important when you go for accreditation. Maybe during the peer team visit, the peer team members will ask the faculty members how the attainment is calculated in your institution. Okay, so I'm taking this example. There are 9 POs here. These are actually the program outcomes of our institution, Merit College Kutikana. We have 9 POs, starting with the first one, domain knowledge, then communicative competence, and the last one is self-directed and lifelong learning. Okay, we'll consider this an example of POs. Then these are the PSOs of a BCA program. This I have taken from the internet only. Don't look at the accuracy of the PSOs, just for a demo purpose. How to calculate the attainment. I have taken 5 PSOs from the internet of a particular BCA program. Also, I have taken these course outcomes for a particular course called Introduction to Computers. Again, from the internet, I have taken these COs. You can see there are 5 course outcomes, starting from the first one, identify the parts of the computer system. Likewise, the last one is the student should be able to use computer systems with ethical consent. Okay. Now, the first semester of this particular course, BCA program, there are some other activities, like there is an activity called outreach. That is actually a social activity. Then there is an industrial visit. So we have 2 activities. The same way, we can have n number of activities that can be mapped with the POs or PSOs, as discussed yesterday during that section of outcome-based academic research. So there are some other some research activities that can be mapped with the POs. Then there will be a predefined mapping scale. Yesterday we have discussed about a mapping scale, a 4-point scale, and there are direct and indirect assessment methods which can be used in preset proportions. So you can have direct assessment and indirect assessment methods. Components of assessments may be you have a semester examination. In between, you can have regular internal assessments, other innovative continuous assessments, activities, then events, personality assessments. The questions in semester exam get mapped to different COs. Other components may only or rubric level get mapped to different outcomes. So for that semester exam, we have a question paper. Maybe you have 20 or 25 questions in the question paper. All these questions can be mapped with the different COs. Yesterday, we have discussed how we can map questions with the COs. Other components, like we can have different assessments, assignments or seminars, or any other activity, innovative assessments, we can map with the different outcomes. For that purpose, we can have the rubrics also. The course outcomes are in turn mapped to POs and PSOs. General activities, we have mentioned about some other activities. They can also be mapped with the POs and PSOs. The other activities means we can have n number of activities. We can have OB only activities that will not reflect in the mark list. See, for example, to attain a particular PO, there are some POs which is connected with ethics. So to meet that, to address that PO, we may include some other activities. Okay, those activities can directly map with the POs or PSOs. CO attainments can be tabulated at the end of each semester based on student scores. So every strength, we will be calculating the CO attainments. At the end of the program tenure, PO and PSO attainments can be calculated. So that means at the end of a program like BCA or a BCom or a MSc Mathematics or MCom, we can calculate the PO and PSO attainments. This is the mapping scale we are considering here for calculating the attainment. Yesterday also we have discussed about this mapping scale. We have a 4-point scale, 0, 1, 2, and 3. So the attainment, you can see if there is no relationship, it is nil, see, the weightage is 0. If it is low attainment, low relationship, then the weightage is 1. Moderate relationship, weightage is 2. Significant, weightage is 3. And scoring, see, for example, if a student scores is only 0, then there is the attainment is 0. We can have different intervals, like 1 to 50%. We can have, say, a low attainment or weightage is 1. 51 to 70%, moderate, and 71 to 100%. This is only an example of a mapping scale. According to the policy of the institution, we can have a different mapping scale. And also the intervals mentioned here is only an example. We can change that according to the policy of the institution. So for calculating the attainment, we are considering this mapping scale today. Okay. Now we have the mapping, like yesterday we have discussed about how we can map CO and PO. Considering the competencies of the POs and PSOs, and how many of these competencies are addressed by a particular CO, we can map CO with the PO. So we'll get a CO-PO mapping table like this. For a particular course, we may have, say, for example, 5 course outcomes, and maybe some activities we used to conduct in a particular semester that also we can map with POs. Okay. The same way, you can map every COs. of different courses. For example, if you consider a 3-year graduate program, 3-year UG program, maybe consisting of 6 semesters. In each semester, assuming that there are average 5 courses, maybe in some cases you have 6 or 7 courses. So just for as an example, consider if there are 5 courses in a semester, then in 6 semesters, the total number of courses will be 6 into 5. 30 courses will be there for a UG program. Okay. Then for each course, you may have 5 course outcomes. So if there are 30 courses, 30 into 5, we have 150 course outcomes for the entire UG program. 150 course outcomes. Okay. So the first column, you can see the course outcomes. Then we have all the POs, PO1, PO2, etc. up to PO9. Then if there are only 4 PSOs, we have PSO1 up to PSO4. Okay. Then the first semester, maybe you have the 5 courses, 5 into 6. You have the 5 courses, 5 into 5, 25 course outcomes. For each course, you have 5 course outcomes. So the first semester, you will be mapping the course outcomes corresponding to the first semester to each of the POs and PSOs. Okay. So you'll get a sample program matrix for OBE, or it is also called the articulation matrix. At the end of the 6th semester, all your COs are mapped with the POs and PSOs. And if there are some activity outcomes, that also will be mapped with the POs. You will get a table like this. Okay. As a best practice, what you can do is, if your syllabus is ready for the 3-year, the first semester itself, you can map all the COs of all the 6 semesters with POs and PSOs, so that you can understand how the CO-PO mapping is done. And if you can find, in between, if there are maybe some POs not properly addressed by the COs. In that case, what you can see is you can revisit again, or for that purpose, we can have some activity. If a particular PO is not properly addressed by COs, properly mapped with the COs, if only very less number of COs are mapped with a particular PO, we can add some activity and focusing on that PO. So in that way, we can have the proper representation of every PO. So this is the matrix we'll get. Okay. Now, the beginning of every semester, if a faculty can prepare a CO-linked assessment plan like this, a CO-linked assessment plan. Say, for example, for our course, we may have the continuous assessment and the semester end examination. Okay. This is an example where 40% weightage or 40% mark for continuous assessment and 60% for the semester end exam. Maybe it is different in different universities. In some universities only 20% marks for a filed exam, that means semester end, and only 80% of the marks or weightage is for continuous assessment. So that will varies in different universities. Here I am taking an example where 40%, only 40% weightage is for a continuous assessment and 60% for a semester end exam. Okay. Now, for my continuous assessment, I have different activities like a seminar, assignment, maybe video presentation, group activities, the news analysis, that is an activity outcome. Then I'm conducting 3 exams, internal exams, exam 1, exam 2, exam 3. Then for attendance, suppose I'm giving 5 marks, or class activity, attendance or class activity, class performance, we can give 5 marks. So this is the way I have distributed the marks, the 40% marks for continuous assessment. And for semester end exam, I have the 60% marks. Now, I'm considering the course outcomes. So there are 5 course outcomes. The seminar, I'm providing a topic which is mapped with the CO1. Maybe if my COs are designed horizontal wise. Yesterday we have discussed that also. That means for the first module or first unit, I have the CO, the course outcome number 1. So my seminar is mapped with the CO1. That means it's a topic related to my first unit in the syllabus. The same way, my assignment, CO2, is mapped with the CO2. Video presentation mapped with the CO3, etc. Then my exam, my first exam, I will ask questions from the first 2 units, for example, or the questions will be mapped with the CO1 and CO2. Exam 2 to CO3, exam 3 to CO4 and CO5. And you can see for the substantive exam, the entire syllabus will be covered. So I have questions from the different units, so that at least some of the questions will be mapped with a particular CO. Okay, so that all the COs are considered. And if I want to give some more weightage for a particular CO, that also is possible. So this is the way we can prepare a CO-linked assessment plan. Yesterday also we have discussed now, once if you design the CO, as a faculty, my goal is every student should attain that outcome, course outcomes. So if there are five course outcomes, all these 5 course outcomes should be attained by my students. For that, I conduct various activities, teaching, learning activities, lecturing, or many other activities. And at the end, I want to check whether my students have attained the outcome. For that purpose, I'm conducting these assessments. Some assessments are continuous assessments. Some are under one assessment is a semester exam. So it can be formative or summative also. So this is a way I can plan my assessments, a CO-linked assessment plan. Now, once I complete that planning, then suppose I start to conduct the assessments. Seminar, for example, this is for a particular student gets. I'm conducting the seminar. This particular student gets his score is 40% for seminar. 40% for seminar. So that means according to the interval which we have designed, from 1 to 50% lower level attainment. That was the interval we have defined for the MAPI scale. Okay, the previous slides. Then for my assignment, this particular student score 85% mark. That means it comes under the last interval. That means 71 to 100, I hope. 71 to 100, the attainment is significant. So we scoring 85% mark, I can say that it's a significant attainment for that particular assignment. So the weightage attainment is 3. Similarly, for video percent 70%. So 51 to 70% is 2 only. So similarly for each of these assessment activities, according to the score of the student, we can see the attainment there. Then for the final exam, we will calculate separately. Now I'm considering only the continuous assessments. Okay. Now you can see for CO1 appears in 2 places. For seminar and for exam 1. And the values are, attainment is 1 and 2. So here the CO1 attainment is, for final exam, we will be calculating separately. For continuous assessment, for seminar and exam 1, CO1 is there. So 1 plus 2 divided by 2 is the CO1 attainment, 1.5. Okay. The same way, CO2 appears in 3 places, for assignment, then for group activity, and for exam 1. For assignment, it is 3. Group activity is 3 again. Exam 1, 2. So 3 plus 3 plus 2 divided by 3. That average I'm taking. Actually, we need to consider the weighted average. This only as a simple example I'm just explaining for understanding the process. We have to consider the weighted average. Weighted average means, see for example, seminar is mapped with the CO1. What is the mapping strength? Okay, that also we have to consider. Then for the exams, we have to consider the questions and how the questions are mapped. Okay, but only to understand the process, I have given a simple example. Otherwise, it will be complicated. I will show it by using a tool so that you can understand it in a better way. So this is a process for every continuous assessment activity based on the score, the attainment we can calculate. And if you are using a software or a tool, you need to add the marks only to the system. You can input the marks to the system so that the attainment, the calculations will be done by the system only. So similarly, CO1, CO2, CO3, CO4, all these values are calculated. And the activity outcomes, it's already there. Now, coming to the final exam. So my final exam, suppose I have 25 questions in the question paper. I have 25 questions in the question paper. And out of these 25 questions, some of the questions will be mapped with the CO1. Some other questions may be mapped with the CO2. Similarly, some questions mapped with the CO3, CO4, and CO5. Okay. Now, I will explain how we can calculate the attainment of CO1. Okay. The same way we can calculate CO2 for a particular student. Hence, we can see questions mapped with the CO1. So there are 25 questions. Out of 25 questions, you can see 5 questions are mapped with the CO1. Sorry. Question number 1, question number 16, 18, 23, and 25. These are the 5 questions which are mapped with the CO1. And the first question is a 1-mark question. The second one, 16th question is a 2-mark question. 18th is also a 2-mark question. Then 23 and 25 are 5-mark questions. Okay. Now, for a particular student, yes. Oh, one more thing. Question number 1 mapped with the CO1 with a weightage 2. You can see the last column, weightage. So yesterday we have discussed how we can map a question with a CO. So according to the mapping scale. Now question number 1 mapped with the CO1 with weightage 2. Question number 16 mapped with the CO1 with weightage 3. Similarly, question number 18 mapped with the CO1 with weightage 1. Similar case for the question number 23 and 25. So the last column represents the mapping strength of each question to this particular CO1. Okay. Sorry. Now, for student X, suppose student X scoring 100% mark for the first question. 1 out of 1. That means 100%. That means the question level attainment is full. We can give 3. Question number 16 again. The student is scoring 75% mark. So here the question level attainment is 3 because from 71 to 100%, according to our mapping scale, we can give 3. Question number 18, only 50%. So the attainment is 1. Question number 23, 60%, again 2. And last question, the question level attainment is 1. Okay. Now, for question number 1, even if the student is getting 100% mark, the question level attainment is 3, but the weightage of that question, the mapping strength is only 2. That question number 1 may be 1 level less than the level of the CO. That is why the mapping strength is 2. Okay. Even if the student get 100% mark, the attainment will be less than 100%. Okay. So in this case, we will take the weighted average. We'll calculate the weighted average. We can see 3 into 2 plus 3 into 3 plus 1 into 1, 2 into 2, 1 into 3 divided by total weight. So we'll get 2.09. This is only an example. So we have calculated the CO1 attainment of a student for the semester end exam. Here we have considered only semester end exam. In the previous slide, we have discussed how we can calculate the attainment for the continuous assessment. So different activities are okay. So we have calculated attainment of this particular student for both continuous assessment and the semester end exam. I hope this is clear. And if you are using a software, a tool, you need to input the marks. Okay. The attainment, the weightage, everything is already there. So the calculation will be done by the ICT tool. Okay. Shall we proceed? I hope it is clear. Now, we have the final exam, semester end exam, and the continuous assessment. We have calculated CO1 for a continuous assessment as 1.5 and for the final exam, semester end exam, 2.09. Okay. Now, considering both the continuous assessment and final exam, we have to calculate the CO attainment. Now, for calculating the CO attainment, we can have a proportion of for the continuous assessment and final exam. See, for our continuous assessment, only 40% weightage was there, and the 60% weightage was for the final exam. Now we can change that proportion for calculating the attainment, because everybody knows only through continuous assessment we can properly evaluate the student, because we have more activities for continuous assessment. So for attainment calculation, we can give more weightage for continuous assessment. This will not reflect in the mark list. Sorry. The mark list, we may, it will go as per the regulations, like 40%, only 40% for continuous assessment and 60% for final exam. Sorry. Okay. Here we are considering a different proportion for calculating the attainment. So we are giving 80% weightage for continuous assessment and only 20% for the final exam. So the CO attainment is 1.5 into 80 by 100, 2.09 into 20 by 100. So the total we get 1.618. And some institutions, even they are considering only 10% weightage for some strength exam. And even some of the affiliated colleges, they're completely avoiding the final exam. Only with the continuous assessment, they calculate the attainment. Because for the final exam, the university may be conducting the exam. And the students marks, question-wise marks are not available in that case. Now we have the direct and indirect assessments. Okay. Direct assessment means the assessments conducted by the faculty, by the institution. Indirect assessment means these are third-party assessments. Otherwise, if you conduct a survey among the students, you can have a course and survey. You can ask the students, in your opinion, what is your attainment? What is your level of attainment? So based on that feedback, we can incorporate that indirect assessment into the calculation. So here also we can decide the proportion. Here I have considered 80% for direct assessment and 20% for indirect assessment. Even we can reduce the weightage of indirect assessment. Some institutions, they consider 90% for a direct assessment, only 10% for a indirect. So we'll get the final calculation. So we'll get the final CO attainment like this. This is the way we can calculate the CO attainments. So for the entire 60 students, we will get a table like this. If there are 60 students, you can see the first column, CO1 attainment of each student, then CO attainment, etc. We can also calculate the average CO attainment of the class based on the values. But we can convert it to percentage attainment. So there are some analytics like a percentage of students attaining more than 60%. For percentage of students attaining more than 80%, all these values can be calculated. And once if we calculate the CO attainment, I will also show you by using an ICT tool, so you can understand it in a better way. So just I am mentioning the process. Now, once if we calculate the CO attainment, we can calculate the PO attainment because all our COs are mapped with the POs. Okay. You can see the different mapping levels. Each COs mapped with the PO1, PO2, etc. 0, 1, 2, 3. These are the mapping strength. So when we substitute these values here, for example, CO1 attainment is 2.12. CO1 to PO1 mapping is 2 mapping strength. The same way we can CO2. This is only an example. 1.52 is the attainment, and CO2 to PO1 mapping strength is 3. So the first column, if you calculate the weighted average, you will get PO1 attainment, considering all the COs of the 3 years. If it is a UG program, 6 semesters, consider all the CO attainments, and you can calculate the PO attainment. In between, if there are some activity outcomes, that also can be considered. PO attainment levels could be based on attainment levels of direct assessment and indirect assessment. Here also we have to consider direct and indirect assessment. We can give 80% weightage for a direct assessment, 20% to indirect. For example, once if we calculate the PO1, direct assessment 2.16, and you can have a survey among the students and student self-assessment. Suppose it is 3 for a particular student. According to that ratio, 80-20 or 90-10, we can calculate the PO1. So similarly, you'll get the PO attainment and PSO attainment. You can have a table like this for you. There are 60 students in the class. For each student, we can calculate the PO attainment and PSO attainment. We can calculate the average also. Converting it into percentage. Average attainment level with respect to POs and PSOs of every outgoing batch with percentage of students above various levels of attainment. That is useful for accreditation purpose. Then we have to conduct alumni survey, employer survey. All these are necessary for identifying the gap and formulating action plans. Because outcome-based education means every time we have to rework, redesign based on the feedback and based on the results. So this is a process. What do we want our students to know or understand or be able to do? The skill sets. So how can we best help students to achieve it? As a guide, what we can do. How will we know whether the students have achieved it? That is the attainment calculation. So through assessments and evaluation, we can calculate the attainment. And every time we have to close the loop. How do we close the loop for further improvement, continuous quality improvement? That is necessary when we go for an OBE implementation. Okay, this is my phone number and mail ID. If you have any doubts, you can ask. So we will discuss about some analytical reports and all. Do you have any clarifications or any questions that we will answer now? Otherwise, we'll go to the next section. Any questions, please? You can put it in the chat box if you have any questions. Okay. Otherwise, we'll answer it at the end of the session. Now, we'll show you some tools. How can we map the surveys with the CEO? We need of mapping surveys with CEO because when we conduct course and survey means for a particular course at the end of the semester we can conduct a survey. You can ask the student, in your opinion, what is your level of attainment? You can give the options 0, 1, 2, or 3. If the student is saying that his attainment is 3, you have to take it. That's all. Sorry. Okay. Now I'll just show you some tools. Some tools we have developed now. The first one is we have developed this tool when our college became autonomous along with IT professional. This is a tool where we can generate a question paper which is mapped with Bloom's taxonomy and CEOs. So I will just quickly go through this tool because there's a lot of processes up there. Every faculty will be involved in the process so that the faculty will be adding questions to the question bank. Every faculty will be thorough with the concept of Bloom's taxonomy and all. Then the questions will be mapped with the CEOs. So once if you generate the question paper will be generated considering the blueprint and all. I'll just show you how we can generate a question paper once the question bank is already there. So this is the controllers of examinations login. Suppose these are some question banks, demo question banks are available. There is a blueprint. So this is an example where suppose we have 25 questions in the question paper. Every question we can mention in the blueprint. It should come from section A or unit 1. Then what should be the taxonomy level of that question, importance level or difficulty level, nature of the question, everything we can mention like this. So this is the blueprint or the distribution of the questions in the question paper. So then the controller's office can generate the question paper based on the blueprint. So one question paper is generated now. They can generate maybe more than one question papers, and they can check the question paper also without seeing the questions. Now, suppose we have generated 2 questions. I'm choosing one. Just give the question paper code. So this is the example of a question paper. You can see each question mapped with the Bloom's taxonomy level. PTL means the Bloom's taxonomy and the course outcomes. Okay. So there are a lot of processes. Every faculty will have a login. Faculty can upload the question. The faculty can map each question with the Bloom's taxonomy levels and CEOs. So once the question bank is ready, there is a vetting process. And finally, the controller's office can generate the question paper. So it's confidential and secure. Every question is encrypted in the system. Many universities and autonomous colleges, they are using it. It's cost effective, and if you want to implement OB in a proper way, this is useful. This is one tool. Then I will show you how to calculate the attainment. If you're using a tool like this, it's easy for you to calculate the attainment of outcomes. Okay. This is the faculty login. The faculty login, all the courses handled by that faculty will be listed. As an example, I will take one. Yeah, I will take this academic and professional English for a BCA program. The faculty have to upload the outcomes, course outcomes, and the target. Yesterday, we were talking about the target for each course outcome. So this is an example. We have 6 course outcomes here. Don't look at the accuracy of the course outcomes. This is only for a demo purpose. Added some outcomes there. Okay. Now, for each course outcome, we can fix a target. So yesterday we were discussing about the target. We cannot assume that every student will achieve that 100% target attainment. Okay. So in that case, we can fix a target like a 50% or 60%, so that we can say that at least 60% of the students in the class achieve that 60% attainment target. Okay. So this is a way we can add course outcomes and attainment target. Then the mapping process we can do. The CO PO mapping. It's already done here. Each CO mapped with the different POs. The POs are listed there. We can see the values here, 1, 2, and 3. 0 is not there. So if there is a low level mapping, we'll give 1 likewise. So once the mapping process is over, it is there. Then we can also check how the mapping is done. See, for example, here to PO1, most of the COs are mapped, whereas for PO2, only 2 COs are mapped. Okay. PO3 is okay. Here also for PO5, only 2 COs are mapped. Okay. So you can just go to this analytics, and if a particular PO is not properly mapped with COs, you can revisit, and again you can check whether some of the COs can be mapped. Otherwise, in that case, you can add some activity So that activity you can map with the particular PO. For example, this is a communicative competence. In that case, you can conduct a debate. For example, that is an activity. That activity you can map with the PO2. Okay. Then the components. See, this is an internal exam. Example of a internal exam. Each question mapped with the taxonomy levels and to CEOs. These are different CEOs written there. The mark strength is given. Each question, the marks are given there. Suppose there are 15 questions for the internal exam. Each question mapped with the taxonomy levels and CEOs. We are using the question bank. There, each question is already mapped with the taxonomy levels and CEOs. That data can be uploaded here so that no need of again reworking on the data. So if you conduct some other, again, external exams the same way, all the questions are mapped there. We can use that data and we can upload it here. Then for some other assessment activities like seminar or group discussion, we can also have the criteria or rubrics for evaluation, and each rubrics we can map with the taxonomy levels and CEOs. Otherwise, if there are no rubrics, that particular assessment activity directly you can map with a particular taxonomy level and CEO. So this is the CEO linked assessment plan we have mentioned earlier. So in the system, we can do it like this. And whenever we conduct the exams or activity, at that time, just upload the marks. That's enough. So there is an Excel template. Upload the mark for each of this activity. Whenever we conduct the activity, we can upload it. So you'll get the attainment. The faculty just need to upload the marks only. This is an example of a batch consisting of, say, 40 students. CO1, the first column represents the CO1 attainment out of 3. Then the second column is the average. Third column, again, CO2 attainment. Then the taxonomy level attainment, that's also available. PO attainment up to this particular semester, that is available. Because PO will be calculated, the final PO calculation will be at the end of the semester. Then we will get some other reports. This is also important. So when we go for OBE, only for the namesake, if you are calculating the attainment for accreditation purpose and all, that is not enough. If you properly map the activities with the outcomes and conduct the assessment activities in a proper way, you will get a lot of reports. This is one such report. You can see the course outcomes are listed there. Then the target, already we have is the target for each CO, average of the batch, standard deviation, and percentage attainment. See, for example, CO1, 90% of the students have attained 60% of the CO. 90% have achieved 60% attainment for CO1. Second case also, CO2 also, 90% of the students in the batch attained 60% target for CO2. Whereas only 17.50% of the students have attained 60% target for CO3. That means there is some problem with the CO3. In that case, we can have one more activity or learning activity or some assessment activity we can conduct. As mentioned earlier, we can conduct a debate or we can conduct some other activity, and we can input that value so that if it is possible, we can bring every student to a desired level. Or in other words, we can call it assurance of learning. That is actually a buzzword when we go for a accreditation purpose. So we are giving an assurance to every student who is joining our institution that they will attain a certain level of outcome. Okay, so these reports are useful for that purpose. Again, if you go to the dashboard of the HOD, we'll get some other interesting reports. Some progression reports are available, like this is an example of a report where you can see the yellow color and the blue color. The yellow color represents the performance of a particular student semester-wise. This is the taxonomy level performance. And the blue color represents the batch performance. So there is a comparison of the student performance with the batch performance. Here you can see the PO attainment, the performance of the program outcomes for a particular student in comparison with the entire batch. This is useful for the PTA meetings. We can show with the data how the student is performing compared to the batch. Again, we have some other reports, like we will also get semester-wise reports. This is the performance of a particular student the second semester compared to the first semester. You can see more upward trends the second semester compared to the first semester. If you're going to the third semester, the same student, you can see more downward trends. More downward trends in the third semester compared to the second semester. So that means there are some problems with the student. Maybe it's a personal problem or a family problem or a problems with some particular topics. So we'll get an outlier report where such students are listed. And based on that outlier report, the faculty can take some remedial measures. Also, we'll get a slow learners report, moderate learners report, or an advanced learners report. All these are possible only if we properly do the processes. The processes are very important, not the calculation. Most of the institutions, they are concentrating only for the attainment calculation. But if we are not properly mapping the things, level 1, level 2 mapping and all these things. And again, when we frame questions, a thorough understanding of Bloom's taxonomy is very essential, because many times, faculty members wrongly map questions with the different taxonomy levels. So in that case, these reports may not be accurate. So only if we properly do it, then only we'll get the proper reports. So many times such reports are available when we go for outcome-based education. Okay. So this is about the tool which I have mentioned. Manually calculating the attainment is very difficult. Even if we have 30 or 40 students in a batch, calculating the attainment for each student, for each COs, it's a tedious task. So you can use a tool like this, it would be easy. Then one more thing, another tool I will just show you. I hope the first day Dr. Sunil Jha was mentioned about questionpaper.ai. This is an AI platform we have developed. So we can generate question papers, course outcomes, and assessment activities, everything. Now, I'll just explain the assessment activity only. The other things already might have gone through. The assessment activities, as I mentioned earlier, when we go for OB in a proper way, you need n number of activities. Every day, if you can conduct an assessment, that is important. Actually, if you're using a platform like this, I will just show you. These are the COs I already generated. All the COs are there. So now the difficulty level again. I can generate the assessment activities which are mapped with different COs. Okay. And these are assessment activities may be different from what we provide to the students. And here also, you will get the step-by-step procedure, how to execute the activity, what are the objective, what are resources needed, timeline, execution steps, and example questions or rubrics for this assignment. So it can include some innovative assessments like this. This is mapped with the CO2. Similarly, you will get different activities mapped with the different COs. And our next project is automatic evaluation of this assignment, automatic grading. So if that is there, we can reduce the workload of the faculty so the faculty can focus more on the other creative activities. That is our plan, because when we implement OBE, definitely the workload will increase. That is the feedback we are getting from everywhere. So we can reduce our workload by using some of the ICT tools or with the AI platforms. So that's about this one. Then we will discuss how the OBE implementation can benefit. Then we go for accreditation. And usually many faculty members or many institutions, they will ask where we have to start like this. So we'll just go through some slides like this. So what is the OBE implementation process, where we have to start? Many of the institutions like engineering colleges and business schools already have implemented OBE. Now, to do it in a better way or proper way, what are the things we have to we have to consider? Okay. So first of all, we have to define the learning outcomes. That's very important. Identify the desired knowledge, skills, and competencies that students should acquire. Okay. These outcomes should align with the program's goals and be relevant to the industry or field of study. Then design curriculum and assessments. Develop a curriculum that aligns with the defined learning outcomes. So we have to define the outcomes first based on the vision and mission of the institution. We should design the POs, PSOs, and the COs. Then only we have to design the syllabus, the assessment activities based on the outcomes. Once if you have the outcomes, just focus on the outcomes. Okay. So the OBE implementation process means, first of all, the initial training, the basic concept like taxonomy, then OBE architecture. That is the initial process. Preparation of OBE manual, that is very important. You will get a draft of an OBE manual from the LMS. It is there in the learning management system. You can just check it. So start with an OBE manual where we can define the policy of the institution. Many things can be there. And that is useful for the accreditation purpose also. And formulation of outcomes, curriculum development and outcome mapping. Identifying innovative teaching, learning and assessment activities. That is very important. From the traditional focus, we have to change to the OBE focus. The main the paradigm shift is from teaching to learning. That is very important. So you have to identify more learning activities, preparation of outcomes, oriented course plans and assessment plans. Then OBE focused question paper generation or using ICT tools or AI platforms. Attainment calculation using ICT tools. Generating and understanding reports on OBE. That also is very important. If you closely monitor the reports, then only you can improvise the process, getting feedback and improvising the process. Benefits of OBE, already I think we have during the last sections already discussed. Clear expectations. OBE provides clarity on what students should achieve, reducing ambiguity. As a best practice in the first section, maybe in a semester, if you're teaching a particular course, the first section you can explain about the course outcomes. You can have a discussion with the students so that the students should also understand what are the outcomes. Students and instructors have a clear understanding of the desired outcomes and can work towards them. Help institutions ensure desired levels of knowledge and skills, or otherwise we call it assurance of learning. Then OBE provides clarity on what students should achieve, reducing ambiguity. As a best practice in the first section, maybe in a semester, if you're teaching a particular course, the first section you can explain about the course outcomes. Students and instructors have a clear understanding of the desired outcomes and can work towards them. Help institutions ensure desired levels of knowledge and skills, or otherwise we call it assurance of learning. Helps institutions identify areas for improvement in teaching methods, curriculum, and learning outcomes. So when we focus on the outcomes and the attainment calculation and everywhere, definitely we can identify the areas for improvement. And it's a student-centered learning. OB promotes active learning, engagement, and critical thinking. Students take responsibility for their learning and are actively involved in learning process. The quality factor in academies. So I hope during the section by Dr. Suresh Nambudiri, you might have seen a report where you can see, they have conducted a study in Indian education system. So according to that study, 94% of the students are, or the graduates, we can say, are confused graduates. And 3.7% graduates are maybe average graduates. They cannot apply a concept in a different situation. So that is very important, and that is the relevance of, that shows the relevance of outcome-based education. Now, OB, we should focus more on the higher order taxonomy levels, and in that way, we can improve the quality of education. Implementation of innovative teaching, learning, and evaluation methods improves quality of teaching, improves quality of learning, improves placements, proper implementation of processes, improves accreditation ratings, helps to meet the challenges of NEP. So it's very important if you properly do the process. The processes are very important, as I mentioned earlier. So in different criteria, all the NAC manual from criteria 1 to criteria 7, everywhere we can mention about OB. So in our college, for the last accreditation, we got A++ with a 3.71 score, mainly because of OB, outcome-based education. So we can mention everywhere, like start with the OB manual, then curriculum planning, delivery, and evaluation through a well-defined process. We can say that interdisciplinary, interdepartment courses, certificate add-on, value-added, what is the need of these courses? We can mention about outcomes. Okay. Then experiential learning. You can focus more on the experiential learning, project works. The OB is the reason for that. And criteria 2, definitely we are calculating the attainments, assessment on learning levels of the students, and organize special programs for advanced learners and slow learners, student-centric methods, student performance and learning outcomes. All these will come. So I'll quickly go through these slides because the manual will change now. The new accreditation manual will be there maybe in 1 or 2 months. Criteria 3, we may have a different MOUs or collaborations with the industry. So for that also, what is the need of that MOU? That need comes from the proper implementation of OB. We can say that in order to meet the outcomes or these activities. These are also skill enhancement programs. Definitely, you can connect all this with your POs. So once if you focus on the program outcomes, definitely based on that, you can plan all these activities. These are all capability enhancement and development schemes. The placement will improve. That is an indirect benefit from the implementation of your, we can say direct benefit itself. Criteria 6, again, OB as a best practice, we can mention OB as a best practice. OB emphasizes clear and measurable learning outcome for students, helps institution and ensure desired levels of knowledge and skills. Again, assurance of learning comes there. So as OB as a best practice, you can present it. You focus on student learning, continuous improvement, flexibility and adaptability, better preparation for the workforce. Then identify specific performance criteria for each learning outcome. Then use descriptive feedback to provide students with a specific information about their performance. So based on the attainment of outcomes, we can provide a detailed feedback. Encourage students to reflect on their learning and use self-assessment to identify areas for improvement. So through that course and survey and all, you can educate the students, and definitely they can reflect on their learning That is also useful. Use their portfolios to document and showcase their learning and growth. Use standardized tests or assessments to measure quantitative metrics. Set benchmark scores to measure student achievement against specific standards or goals. Then you can use the data analysis to identify trends or patterns in student performance over time. So this data will get from the reports. And coming to the digital pedagogy, when we implement OBE in a proper way, digital pedagogy is also important. So everybody knows the 4-quarter model: video content, e-content documents, assessments, evaluation, discussion forums. So I hope you have gone through our learning management system. We have all these activities there. If you have an LMS or Moodle LMS or other LMS, it is good. Otherwise, every institution can definitely have a Moodle LMS so that we can load with the suitable contents. You can also use education tools like Google Tools or Mentimeter or Padlet. Padlet, we have included that in the LMS. I will show you how I am using it for my teaching activities. Then automation, avoid repetitive tasks. So you can have discussion forums, research forum, or doubt clearance forum in the LMS. Assessments like quizzes, workshop for a peer evaluation, lesson activity, database creation, wiki. All these are features of Moodle LMS. We can include all these for your LMS so that you can say that we can follow an outcome-based approach. See, for example, workshop that is included in our LMS. Workshop means you are submitting your task and there is a peer evaluation. So through this peer evaluation, everybody is going through the assessments and it's actually a learning process. When they evaluate the assessment submitted by another participant, there is a learning process. Again, the lesson activity, we can say assurance of learning there, because through lesson activity, you will be going through a particular content and you will be attending a quiz or a test. And if you don't have the required percentage of marks, then again, you'll be going back to the content. That means the learning is assured there. So these are some learning activities through LMS you can provide to the students. Again, database creation and wiki. Wiki is the same concept as Wikipedia. So these are the features of Moodle LMS, and definitely these are all learning activities. So if we can incorporate at least these type of activities, or at least for one unit or one module, that will definitely help the students. So this is another example where we used to conduct a program. It's called a Creative Studio for our first year students, first year MCA students when they come to the campus. The first week itself, we conduct an activity like this. This is a 56-hour long power-packed creativity enhancement workshop. It's 56 hours. There will be 10 teams. We have 60 students in a batch, so 10 teams, and there will be 6 tasks. That means 6 students will be there in a group, in a team. And there will be 6 tasks for the particular team. So that for each task, one student will be the leader. So everybody will get a chance to take the leadership. So they have to create videos or posters, etc. And only 56 hours are allowed. That means day and night they have to work. Then the skills they are acquiring during this process: problem-solving skills, creative and critical thinking, time management skills, leadership capabilities, teamwork, crisis management, self-learning skills, general management, ethical and social issues, analytical, logical skills, technical skills, communication skills. So all our POs are covered through this program. So it's actually a 2-day program to 3-day program. And the students may be sleeping only for 2 or 3 hours during these 2 days. And they'll be creating some videos based on a social cause, social issue. So during this 2 or 3 days, we will be covering all these POs. So these are some pictures of this program conducted this year. So these are all POs. As I mentioned, all our POs are covered. Now, if you have any clarifications, any questions, can ask. And this is our learning management system. I hope you might have gone through this. And we have different tasks, different days. And there are some Padlets available. Now we can start posting your the questions based on Bloom's taxonomy levels and course outcomes also. Using that question paper.a, you can use that AI platform. Okay. Then today's task I will explain. You can download an Excel sheet. This is your task 3. Maybe this is task 4, right? Anyway, here what you have to do is, suppose you have 5 or 6 course outcomes. Okay. If you want to write your course outcomes there, you can write it. Otherwise, leave it, because the CO1, CO2 is mentioned there. Then you consider 10 questions. Suppose consider 10 questions out of a particular test you conducted, question paper. Then the question, don't need of writing the question here. Suppose question number 1 mapped with the CO1, can give the weightage there. There is no, the weightage is 0. It is by default 0 is there. Otherwise, you can map with the, suppose CO1 mapped with the CO2 with the weightage 2. You can do it like this. And you give the maximum marks of that particular question. If it is a 1 mark question, put 1 mark there. It's a 2 mark question, put 2 mark there. So just consider 10 questions, or it have 25 questions. It's okay, fine. You can do it. So this is the thing. This is the only thing you have to do. Each question map with the COs and put the mark there. Okay. So this is the first sheet. Then the second sheet, consider 10 students and mark of each student. Roll number 1. For question number 1, what is the score of the first student? Similarly, question number 2, likewise, just start the mark here and mention the target for each CU and the number of students you have to put in there. That's enough. You'll get a scorecard like this. You'll get the attainment of each student based on the different course outcomes. So this is the task for today. Again, we have the Padlet. You might have used it. This is the Padlet actually. You can go to padlet.com and you can sign up there. It's free. You can use your Gmail ID and you can log into padlet.com. I'll give you an example how I'm using it for my teaching activities. This is a task or an assignment I have given to my students. So I'm teaching operational research to MCA students. So just this is my task or assignment I have given to my students. Identify a problem, develop an OR model and find the solution. Create a PPT and upload it. Finally, you can create a video. This is a CADL activity and marks will be distributed as follows. This is actually a continuous assessment activity. As CADL means continuous assessment in deep learning. Quality of the problem 20%. These are rubrics. Model formulation 20%, solution 20%, PPT and video 40%. Every problem should be unique. If there is duplication, it will be rejected. You can upload the problem first, then the PPT with the script, and finally the video. Okay, this is the assignment. So I have given this assignment the forenoon section, and by 10 o'clock in the night, they have uploaded their topics. I haven't given any deadline. Usually when we give an assignment, only at the last day, all the students will submit, and many of them may be copying the content from their friends' notebook. So here, the problem I will tell you, the first student will post it here, and it is visible to all students. So the second student who is again submitting the assignment, the second student has to check what the topic the first student has submitted, because otherwise it will be duplication. If there is duplication, it will be rejected. So the second student will submit it like this. And usually the lazy fellow, the 60th student will be submitting at the end. And that particular student has to go through all the other assignments submitted by other students. Then only he can submit it. So that is again a learning process. But at the same time, we can avoid the duplication. By using this tool, the system will automatically check. If there is any duplication, it will be rejected, so that again they have to submit. Okay. So this is the way we can use Padlet, and there are a lot of uses for a Padlet. It is also given in the LMS how to use Padlet and the creative ways of using Padlet. It is also available in the learning management system. Okay, some education tools other than Padlet that also is listed there. So Padlet is one of the best tools we can use. This is free for a limited use. This is a paid version, and even for payment, it's only less than, I think, 1,500 rupees in a year. So it's better if we can use some tools like this when we go for a OBE implementation process. Okay, that's all from my side today. If you have any questions, please put in the chat box. We can clarify the doubts. So there's one question. What is AO? AO means activity outcome. As I mentioned earlier, we can conduct activities, and these activities can be mapped with the POs. See, for example, some particular PO may not be addressed through COs, course outcomes. So in that case, we can have activity outcomes. To create question paper, as in the example shown at the beginning, should there be a question bank already mapped with this? Yes, definitely. There will be a question bank already mapped with the COs, and that question bank will be developed by the faculty members. So that process is also very important, because once if you frame questions, the faculty will be thorough with the Bloom's taxonomy concepts, and again the quality of teaching will improve. During the COVID time, IIT Goa has conducted an examination. It was there in the Hindu newspaper. They asked every student to frame questions. The students have to frame questions, and they have to answer the questions framed by the particular student itself. And marks are awarded based on the quality of questions. not the quality of answers. So framing quality questions is very important. As a faculty, we can definitely improve the quality of teaching. So if you have a question bank, once we can develop it, it can be used, for all your internal exams and some student exams. And you can set the blueprint. You can also, according to the policy of the institution, we can set the blueprint, like how many low order questions, how many higher order questions should be there, likewise. Any questions? How do you map teaching methodologies with each CEO? What kind of innovation? Map teaching methodologies means we'll be mapping all these activities, like say, for example, we conducted different activities for assessment activities. That can be also learning activities that we can map with the CEOs based on the level of that activity. Yesterday we have discussed that also. Just like mapping questions with the CEOs, the assignments also, check the level of that assignment, level of that CEO. That way we can map it. Okay, to sum up, we started with the first day with the Bloom's taxonomy, because that is very important for all the further discussions. Then mapping the outcomes, how to design outcomes, mapping of outcomes, and finally attainment calculation. In between, we had some sections on the case studies in the Canadian University. Then yesterday also we had a case study regarding the outcome-based academic research. And today I mentioned the one Creative Studio. So we can identify some innovative activities like that. That is very important when we implement outcome-based education. And again, we had a section on generative AI. Definitely generative AI can be useful for identifying the teaching learning activities. And also for research, we can use generative AI. How to relate score, percentage, and weightage. Score, percentage, and that we have discussed today. The mapping strength, we can have a different scale. Score percentage means, see, for example, we have used that mapping scale where if it is 0%, the weightage is 0. From 1 to 50%, the weightage is 1. And 51 to 70%, the weightage is 2. So that we can have an interval like this, we can define for every institution. It can be different. Yeah. And if you have any further questions, you can contact me through this phone number. This is my WhatsApp number also. Just you can send a message through WhatsApp. Yeah. Okay. Once again, thank you for your patience. Now I think today we started at 7 o'clock. And this is the last day. Please complete all your tasks and assignments provided in the LMS. And you can also download the certificate. I hope Anusri will give you an idea about it. Over to Anusri. Thank you.
Thank you for your valuable words. I think they don't have any further questions or queries. Now, moving on to the vote of thanks, I would like to invite Dr. Mukesh Yadav. He is currently the Associate Dean, Academics and Foreign Relation at the University of Engineering and Management, Jaipur. He is also the professor and the head of the Department of English at the University of Engineering and Management, Jaipur. He did his MA, MPhil, and PhD from the University of Rajasthan, India. He is an active explorer of universal human values since 2019. He has been awarded International Education Award in 2022 for his contribution to the education community and Mahatma Jyotiba Phule Excellence Award in 2023. Sir, over to you.
Audible? Srilakshmi, am I visible and audible? Hello?
Sir,
Am I audible?
you're audible.
Yeah, just I want to confirm, am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
sir,
sir.
sure.
Yes, sir,
Okay,
you are
thank-
audible and visible.
Thank you. Thank you. See, I have been going through each and every lecture right from the first session, right from the first day. I could not move away from the camera or from the sessions because all the sessions were so interesting and so thought-provoking and knowledgeable. And I would like to give a comprehensive feedback as well as vote of thanks of all these 7 days. So if you see, the day one started with the inaugural session in which Professor Dr. Vishwajoy Chatterjee, Vice Chancellor of University of Engineering and Management, he presented the welcome address, followed by Professor Dr. Justin K. Kuriakose, Principal of Nirmala College, who delivered the presidential address. Also, same day, Professor Dr. �𝐧𝐿𝐺𝐷 Chakravarti, Director of UEM Group, he gave the inaugural address, and Dr. Sunil Job, the Chief of Academic Solutions at IPSR, led an insightful session on domains. That day, Dr. Sony Kuriakose, Vice Principal of Nirmala College, he presented the vote of thanks. On day two, we witnessed a wonderful session by Dr. Sunil Job on architecture of outcome-based education and design of outcomes. He made a wonderful presentation starting from Washington Accord, graduate attributes, and the worksheet on course outcomes that will definitely help our young educators. On day three, we had an amazing session by Dr. Thomas Verghese, who shared his Canadian experience on outcome-based education. It was an enriching and insightful session, which paved a new way of teaching over traditional teaching. Day four, we witnessed an eye-opening session by Dr. Suresh Namboothri, who explained the ways to enhance research capabilities by using generative AI. His session was engaging, especially how to use ChatGPT to improve class. On day five, we have generative AI in research, again by Dr. Suresh Namboothri. His session about Vijnana GPT was the highlight of the session. His session gave various perspectives of AI research tools. On day six, we had a wonderful session and thought-provoking session on outcome-based academic research by Dr. Kamal Shah and mapping of outcomes by Dr. Mendes Jacob. Both the sessions were very informative and knowledgeable. Today, we witnessed a detailed session on attainment calculation and various analytical reports useful in ICT tools and outcome-based education for accreditation by Dr. Mendes Jacob. So if you see, we had a long list of great resource persons. So I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the resource persons who have taken their time out of their busy schedule to share their knowledge and expertise. Sir, your insightful lectures, thought-provoking sessions, and interactive discussions have significantly contributed to the success of this FDP. Each session has been a valuable learning experience, equipping all participants with latest in outcome-based education and application of generative AI in teaching and research. I would like to give a special word of thanks to IPSR Solutions, whose unwavering support and partnership made this event possible. Your dedication to the cause of education and your technical backing have been instrumental in ensuring the smooth execution of this 7 days online FDP program. We look forward to your continued collaboration in the future, sir. Also, I am thankful to the authorities of UEM Jaipur and Nirmala College for allowing us to conduct this online FDP. Lastly, I would like to thank all the participants for your active engagement and enthusiasm throughout these 7 days. Your willingness to learn, your thought-provoking questions, and your collaborative spirit have made this FDP a vibrant and fruitful learning platform. We hope you will take back many new ideas and strategies to apply in professional journey. Once again, I thank you to everyone involved. It has really been a rewarding experience, and we hope to continue learning and growing together in the future. Thank you, one and all present here. Thank you once again, IPSR. Thank you to the authorities of Nirmala College. Thank you to UEM Jaipur, and special thanks to all the participants who have actively involved in this 7 days online FDP. Thank you, one and all involved. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable insights.
Thank you, ma'am.
Feedback link for today's session is provided in the chat. Please go through it. Your LMS will be accessible till 10th October 2024. Please complete all the tasks and activities in the LMS, and your certificate will be ready to download in LMS by 2nd October. You will get the details of it through email. So we have reached the end of our session. Thank you, everyone. Once again, thank you all for your participation. Wish you a pleasant night. Thank you.